Good afternoon, and welcome to everybody that's all over the innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem in Metro Atlanta. And I wish we were together today in person, but we're making progress because we are here streaming live from the gathering spot, and we do have a handful of people here. In fact, primarily our Backed by ATL CEOs, a few members from our Innovation and Entrepreneurship Advisory Board, and some of our Metro Atlanta Chamber staff here at the gathering spot to celebrate entrepreneurism through Backed by ATL. But I am very optimistic for all of you out there that are watching and streaming, whether it's live or recorded, that through the summer and by the time we get to the fall innovation season, we'll be able to get together, because we know it is so important for our innovation ecosystem to be able to network and connect, because that's how we keep growing. And we're at a special time here in Atlanta for entrepreneurs and founders, and that's why Backed by ATL is celebrating this moment today. So today we are going to talk about our 14 new companies here for Backed by ATL that's celebrating every aspect of our industry. One of the most diverse groups in terms of every aspect of how you measure it possible, in terms of industry, in terms of where they're located, in terms of what they do. It's satisfying so much stuff for consumers and for businesses. So we have a lot to celebrate in that. But we're also going to talk a little bit about the special ecosystem that we have in Atlanta. So in addition to hearing about our companies, we're going to have a group of our founders from Backed by ATL here on stage, giving you their perspective about growing a company as an entrepreneur and growing here in Atlanta. And by the way, before I forget, because I just went in there, I'm Alex Gonzalez. I'm Chief Innovation Officer here at the Metro Atlanta Chamber. And it's great to be here with you today. And we're going to have Katie Kirkpatrick say a few words. She's our CEO and president of the Metro Atlanta Chamber. David Cummings is about to join us on stage, and then Ryan Wilson, who we thank him for hosting us here at the gathering spot, will be leading our panel of entrepreneurs. So with that, let me actually turn it over for a few words to Katie Kirkpatrick, CEO and president of the Metro Atlanta Chamber.
Okay, this is really interesting. This is my first time in this role as president and CEO actually speaking live to an audience. So I'm not used to not having a screen right in front of me. So y'all bear with me if I'm looking at my notes probably more than normal. It's been 15 months since we've had this opportunity. So it's so good to see everybody. And hello to our participants streaming with us today. Thanks, Alex, for the introduction. The Backed by ATL program has evolved over the years, and I'm really excited about the direction that it's heading right now. A true community has formed. You're going to see that up here on the stage, comprising some of our region's most innovative and emerging companies, as well as talent. So we're immensely proud of the community, simultaneously helping to grow innovative new products and services while creating positive economic impact in our region. So this year, as Alex mentioned, we're welcoming the largest and most diverse cohort for Backed by ATL. We have 14 new companies. These enterprises will help feed our late night cravings, protect our neighborhoods, address food insecurity, modernize supply chain services, and solve customer problems, keep people cool, dry, and stylish. I may have just bought a product including that, package goods, and prevent fraud. So let's talk a bit about these companies and how they fit in the larger Atlanta innovation scene. So what's interesting to me is Backed by ATL highlights a market segment of over 2,800 companies that generate between $10 to $25 million in sales. Atlanta has been home to highly successful entrepreneurs and founders. One may be in the room. 3 Metro Atlanta tech companies hit unicorn status in the past 2 years, each valued at over $1 billion. That's something to celebrate. Our region saw more than $2 billion in venture capital investment in 2020, which is just shocking to me, just that year alone. And with more than 60 successful entrepreneurial exits over the past 5 years, Metro Atlanta ranks among the top 3 cities in the nation for startups. And I know that is something we were striving for over a decade ago when we began talking about how to connect the business community, the entrepreneurial community, and our higher education system. So in close collaboration with experts and partners, we started Backed by ATL to support this incredible ecosystem. And Backed by ATL has made its mark. Since 2017, Backed by ATL companies have raised over $1 billion in capital and created more than 3,600 jobs in Metro Atlanta. That's a wow, y'all. Entrepreneurship is at the core of Metro Atlanta's business community and Atlanta's history of innovation. We have exceptionally diverse talent pool buoyed by our higher education institutions, our HBCUs, don't forget about those, and a strong center of corporate headquarters from the foundation of this innovative energy. So I'm super excited. I'm so pumped that we're coming out of the pandemic and talking about innovation and the way that we can really lead this growth in our community. So Alex, I'm gonna hand it back over to you and look forward to the conversation.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Katie. And you know what? Jay Bailey's in the building, so we could really get it rolling. But Jay is an example of someone on our board and part of our Innovation and Entrepreneurship Advisory Board, and many of them that are here in the room, that are reaching beyond even their own walls to figure out how to build an innovation community where we all connect to build up our founders and make us just this unique innovation hub here in Atlanta. I do want to thank all our advisory board member. I do want to especially thank Jonathan Goldman and Jeff Karcher and Carol Lloyd, 3 of our advisory board members who have really been on our Back by ATL journey since we started. And they were really the catalyst to get this program going. And because they realized that building this community of entrepreneurs was essential to keep it growing. But someone else who's been on that journey forever, this guy that everybody knows, particularly in the entrepreneurship community, was David Cummings. And David himself, he is an entrepreneur. I would say whenever I talk to him, he says entrepreneur first. But as he's had success with his companies, he also went on to become an investor, but more importantly, also a coach and a mentor, and he became part of our board, and he's just very active in building this ecosystem. And let us not forget that David also founded Atlanta Tech Village, which was one of the many catalysts, and a very important catalyst, to really make tech and startup a key part of the Atlanta ecosystem. But one thing about David, before we bring him on stage, is he has been consistent about talking to me and talking to us about we need to make sure that we keep our founders connected and that we also showcase our founders, because that's what helps build innovation ecosystem. So that would be perfect as we have our largest Back by ATL class ever to welcome David Cummings to say some words. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Alex. So Alex said that I've been an entrepreneur forever. I'm starting to understand the euphemisms for getting older, but I appreciate the kind words. So my story is one of entrepreneurship at a young age. I was in college, I started a business. Our largest customer was a company based right here in Atlanta. My friends were graduating, I was graduating, they were going to New York and other places. And I reached out to the customer that was in Atlanta and I said, hey, I want to move to Atlanta. I want to take the company that I'd started in the dorm room and I want to grow it and build it into a material, meaningful business. And so this Georgia can-do attitude was first revealed to me. He said, absolutely, David, come on down. We got a room in the back of our office. We'll give it to you at no charge. I'll introduce you to other people in the community, other leaders, other entrepreneurs. And so that was my first taste of this can-do attitude. So I moved down to Atlanta 20 years ago, was in this little one-room office, but I was right there with the customer. I was right there face-to-face to learn the customer's problems, how we could improve the software, how we could make it better, how we could align the solution to the needs in the market. And so that experience of the can-do attitude, of the company in Georgia opening their arms, inviting us in, making the introductions, I carried forward that experience as a first-time entrepreneur right out of college when I had the opportunity to open up the Atlanta Tech Village. We opened up 100,000 square feet, 300 startups, 1,000 members. But we focused on the earliest stage of the market. We focused on the idea stage and the seed stage, but Atlanta was still missing that growth stage. Atlanta was still missing that scale-up stage for the startup. And so I'm super excited that the Metro Atlanta Chamber helped identify that and called it Back by ATL. So Alex and Katie and the staff, I'm really excited to be here today. The scale-up stage of entrepreneurship is one of the most important. The majority of net new jobs in our country come from scale-ups. They don't come from the big companies. They do come from the startups that become the scale-ups, but the vast majority of startups never hit the scale-up stage. And so I think what Backed by ATL is doing, what we're doing here at the Chamber, is critical to the future of our city, and I'm really excited to be a part of the program. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, David, and thank you for your leadership and everything you do for us here in Metro Atlanta. David talked about that scale-up phase, and that is what Backed by ATL is about, because when we started this program, we realized that thanks to David and now Jay Bailey and many others, there's this infrastructure, for startups with Atlanta Tech Village and the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurship and ATDC and so many other organizations. And of course, we have an incredible corporate center with 40 corporate innovation centers here in Metro Atlanta. So really that question was, how do we help those scale-ups? And in the case of Backed by ATL, we really targeted companies between $2 million and $100 million in revenue, although we do have many companies in the program that even exceed that. It's really about that phase of how do we grow, and there are unique needs for that scale-up, things that may not be the same for a big corporation, and things that aren't going to be helped that in terms of what you do as a startup. So that's what this Backed by ATL community is all about. And as this year, we reached out to our partners, to our board on social media and had hundreds of inquiries to get into the program. About 60 formally applied, many of those were interviewed, and we had the 14. But I do want to emphasize that this is about community building. So this is, we know there's so many other entrepreneurs out there that are just incredible and great, and we welcome all because we are one community here in Metro Atlanta. But we do congratulate, of course, the 14 that we're going to be talking about here today. And so as I mentioned, all those hundreds of names that came up, Cynthia Curry with the Metro Atlanta Chamber in our economic development team, she was really the face of the business community in terms of talking to these founders and just did an incredible job in terms of building these relationships. We're going to welcome Cynthia to welcome these new founders to Backed by ATL.
Thanks, Alex. Hi, everyone. Wow, real people. Oh, I love it. It feels really great to see people in person and see people's smiling faces. Thank you all so much for coming. And congratulations to all our winners. I'm super excited to welcome all of them and have you all give them a huge hand. We're really thrilled for this cohort, and it's such a wonderful, wonderful mix of industry and ownership, and we're really, really, really thrilled to have this ecosystem here. So I'm going to call everyone's name. We're going to go through the winners in alphabetical order, and I know I told y'all you were going to get to stand down here, but in order to make sure our audience can see you, we're going to have you come up on stage as I call your name. So let's get to the winners. So excited. All right, first, Banyan Hills Technology. So Steve Lantham is the CEO of Banyan Hills. They are an Internet of Things and IoT platform and services company helping their customers to maximize the potential of IoT within their businesses and the adoption of Banyan Hills IoT Canopy platform. So congratulations, Steve Lantham and Banyan Hills. Next is Burr, with Mary Catherine Kolb, the CEO of Burr. Welcome, welcome. Burr is a technology developer of a cooling technology fabric. So it has patented methods for using natural cooling materials, active wicking, and rapid drying to create the triple chill effect. And it instantly and continuously draws heat and moisture away from the skin, so it can lower your body temperature by 3 or 4 degrees. So we love Burr. Congratulations, Mary Catherine Kolb. Next is CallRail. Andy Powell could not be here today. It's his daughter's birthday, so we certainly support him in celebrating that. But CallRail is a provider of leads-focused analytics platform intended to bring complete visibility to the marketers that really rely on quality-bound leads. So congratulations, Andy, and your team virtually. Next is Chime Solutions and the CEO, Mark Wilson. Chime Solutions delivers the best-in-class contact center solutions as a service, and they're a provider of inbound contact customer services to financial services, insurance companies, healthcare, and telecommunications sector. So congratulations. And he might have some relatives in the room, I think, so thank you. Next, we see Data Seers. The CEO is not here today, but we do have Gurjot Bendasha, who's the Chief Revenue Officer. Data Seers is a fintech company. They're in the banking and payment space. Their AI-enhanced platform, Financier, provides actionable intelligence and operating a full suite of business verticals for payment. So they do reconciliation, compliance, fraud, and analytics work. Congratulations. Next is Flock Safety. Their CEO, Garrett Lanley, is not able to be here either, but they're the first public operating system empowering over 1,000 cities to eliminate crime. They have cameras and devices that detect objective evidence, decode it with machine learning, and then deliver it into the hands of people that can help stop the crime. So congratulations, Flock Safety. I know we have that in Atlanta. Next, we have Gooder and Jasmine Crow, the CEO. Jasmine's been busy. She's had a baby lately during the pandemic, so congratulations on that also, Jasmine. Gooder's technology provides a secure ledger that tracks and organizes surplus foods from pickup all the way to donation. Their Tech for Good really helps deliver real-time social and environmental impact reporting analytics, and they offer recovery and food distribution services throughout the group for property stores and grocery delivery. So they really help eliminating food waste and really doing just wonderful, wonderful things for the community. So congratulations, Jasmine. Jasmine will be on our panel. Next is Hairbrella, CEO Tracy Pickett. Hairbrella is a rainwear company. They provide really innovative accessories that help women stay protected, polished, and prepared, no matter what the forecast. Congratulations, Tracy. Next, we have Porter Logistics with Robert Crump. Porter Logistics provides flexible logistics and supply chain services, filling a hole in the traditional 3PL and industrial warehousing markets. They are a provider of storage services intended to create the easiest personal storage available. So congratulations. Next, we congratulate Puff Cuff and their CEO, Garrett Lash. Puff Cuff is a manufacturer of a hairstyling product designed to create stylish looks without damaging your hair. So congratulations, Garrett and team. Next, we welcome Summit Packaging Solutions. Oh, we're getting close up here. I'll scoot over. And Adam Walker, the CEO. So Summit Packaging is an award winner manufacturer that delivers end-to-end contract packaging solutions to some of the nation's most recognized brands. So congratulations. Next, we celebrate Slutty Vegan. Pinky Cole is their CEO, but she is not able to be here today. We do have Jason Crane, who's their Chief Revenue Officer. So Slutty Vegan is the late night burger craving that Katie referred to earlier. So they're a vegan fast food restaurant serving all plant-based options in their stores. So they have 3 brick and mortar locations in Atlanta, and they have plans to expand outside of Georgia, and they're doing a food truck option as well. So I highly recommend, if you have not tried Slutty Vegan, go get a burger. They're delicious. Next we have Vital 4. With CEO Kristen Stafford. Vital 4 is a US-based women-owned fintech company, which we love, and they provide data to their competitors to prevent bribery, corruption, terrorism, and money laundering. So congratulations to you and your team. Then lastly, but not least, we have We Are Rosie. We Are Rosie, Stephanie Olson is the CEO. We Are Rosie is thriving and growing community of independent marketing experts available on demand to augment, complement, backfill, or accelerate your in-house team and capabilities in diverse ways. So here they are. our amazing, backed by ATL recipients. So happy for all of y'all and thankful for you taking part in this program with us. We're going to all scoot off the edge and get a picture at the step and repeat at the end. So thank you, Ryan, for hosting us. As always, it's just wonderful to see you, and we love the gathering spot, so thank you. And then I'm going to pass it back to Ryan, and he's going to lead the panel of wonderful people while we take a picture. So thank y'all.
Hey everybody, how are y'all? Hey everybody online too, it's good to see y'all. I'm gonna echo what a lot of folks have said today. It is beautiful to see people back in the gathering spot. I mean, after all, we're called the gathering spot. And to not be able to gather over the last year plus has been tough for us, especially here at TGS. But it's good to see y'all here, and congratulations to the new companies that are backed by ATL. So I am lucky to be joined on an amazing panel. Kyle, I believe you're here with us. Mary Catherine and Jasmine, please join me on stage. We are going to talk about a place that we all know well. I happen to love and think is the most important city in the country right now, in Atlanta. And so we don't have that much time, y'all, and there's so much that you can share with us. So I'm going to dive right in. Two-part question. First part, and Kyle, I'm going to start with you. Can you talk to us a little bit about your company, but then tell us your Atlanta story? Are you from here? Did you move here? Why is Atlanta special to you?
Perfect. Well, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me and thanks for hosting us today. So my name is Kyle Porter. I co-founded SalesLoft back almost 10 years ago. So in October of this year, it'll be my 10-year anniversary. And the gray hairs are following the trajectory of the business. But SalesLoft is the leading sales engagement platform in the marketplace. So we help companies generate revenue at scale and deliver their customers with an incredible experience. And I grew up in Gwinnett County, so I'm local, came to Georgia Tech. And after I graduated Georgia Tech, I went into banking for a little while, and I realized that that wasn't what I wanted to do. I'd been selling my whole life. I remember a story back in 1996, the Olympics came to town, and I learned that I could hop on my bike, throw my book bag on my shoulders, ride to Walmart, and buy every single lapel pin that they would sell with Olympic branding on it, take it down to Centennial Park and sell them. And I remember looking at people in the eyes, folks from all walks of life. I remember folks from China, Japan, Africa, Asia, Europe, everywhere. And they were so excited to get these products that they made them so happy. And I remember this feeling like sales is service. And so that was really the backs of what we've done at SalesLoft. And so I went to Georgia Tech, graduated, and I was in love with entrepreneurship and sales. I started to get connected at ATDC, and that was when I met David Cummings. He was the CEO of Hannon Hill at the time, prior to Pardot, and was sharing his story, and I really enjoyed the way he talked about building culture in businesses. There was a quote that David said that was really phenomenal. He said that as an entrepreneur, the thing that we have the most control over is the culture of our business. And if you think about it, the macroeconomic climate can change, technologies can come and go, competitors can come and go, but who you let into your business, what the vision, mission that you espouse, those are really important. So I started following David, and one day I asked him to go to lunch and asked him if he wanted to start a business with me, and he said yes, and we were off to the races.
Awesome. Jasmine, same question to you. Tell us about the company and your Atlanta story.
So I am not an Atlanta native. I like to say I'm a military child, so I've lived a little bit of everywhere. But my sister got into Spelman College, and she was coming here 2012, and we knew no one here. And somehow my dad convinced me that you need to go to Atlanta with her and make sure she finishes school. And I was living in Phoenix, Arizona at the time. It was summer in Phoenix, which was about 117 degrees when I was having this conversation with my dad, and I thought, I would like to go someplace else. And I was an entrepreneur. I just decided that Atlanta was a great place to be. It had consistently made all of the lists for top places for Black entrepreneurs to live, and that definitely piqued my interest. So I packed up my vehicle and drove 26 hours from Phoenix to Atlanta and got here and never looked back. I will say that my business started here when I drove through downtown, saw hundreds of people experiencing homelessness, and just was really driven to do something to serve. And so I started feeding people on the streets at Peachtree and Pine for about 4 years. Started that in 2013, a couple of months after I moved here. And that led me to launching Gooder. And Gooder essentially helps businesses drive down their food waste and connect it to a network of now over 37,000 nonprofits across the country who can then use that food to feed people that would otherwise go hungry. And it's just been an amazing journey. And it started in Atlanta. The support of the city and everyone that lives in Atlanta has just been amazing. So I'm really happy that I launched this company here.
I remember the day that I first heard about the company, and it was right here. And I remember Jasmine, what she didn't tell you is that she never lost a pitch competition, ever. I mean, like, truly ever. Maybe the all-time champion in Atlanta. Mary Catherine, same question to you. Your company and your Atlanta story.
I founded Burr in October about 6 years ago. Burr is a textile technology company, and we license our products to global brands to make their products cooler with Burr. I always knew that I would be an entrepreneur. I always knew I'd start my own company one day. I often get asked the question, do you think that being an entrepreneur, you have to be wired for it or you learn it? And I believe you have to be wired for it. It's something that you just know. Just cliche, growing up, Girl Scout cookie sales, always had some kind of merchandise I was selling to my neighbors. Just always had that kind of business startup from a very young age. I had the real pleasure of building a career with other billion-dollar brands and learning from them. I was the first hire for Tom's Shoes, one of the first 30 for Spanx. So I really got a great front row seat at how to build a company. And I just decided that I wanted to do it for myself. When I was younger in my career here in Atlanta, I said yes to a lot of opportunities, and that really gave me an inside look at the community here. Kyle, you and I were on a board, the Junior Wave Committee at the Georgia Aquarium, feels like years ago.
It was.
It was. How many kids do you have now?
2.
I have 3, so we didn't have kids then. But anyway, it was just those kind of opportunities that really showed me the kind of the way the community weaves itself around people. And I felt like that if I was going to take the jump and start a company, that I wanted to do it here where I felt the support and the arms around me to do it.
To that point, let's talk about what's different about Atlanta. For those that are watching online that are wondering, like, what are folks talking about when they talk about this city? What's special about what's happening here, especially right now? And Kyle, I'll go back to you to start.
Well, you know, in 2012, Sales Loft applied to join Techstars. And at the time, Techstars was only in New York and Boulder, Colorado. So we moved the whole company to Boulder, Colorado for a summer. And through that process, we met 50 investors, as part of that. And there were a lot of them that said, if you move the business to San Francisco, if you move the business to Boston, if you move to New York, but we never wanted to do that. I mean, I think when we applied for Techstars, we all wore our Atlanta Braves outfits, we were representing the city. And it was so much more exciting for me to know that we would get to come home to Atlanta and help participate in building up the ecosystem. That was before the Village started, and Brad Feld had a book called Startup Village, and I remember David was reading and I was reading it, and he said, when we came back, he said, I'm gonna start the Village. And so we were excited to be there and, kind of set up our stage and suite in the office when it first opened. But Atlanta it's incredible. I mean, I've been to so many different cities, and this is always my home. The people here are incredible. David mentioned the can-do attitude, and that's a real thing, right? Like, people's desire to help one another is a real palpable thing in this city. The diversity is incredible here, and not just of people, but of companies and, the type of industry that we have. There's many Fortune 500 companies. The airport's incredible. You can do anything in Atlanta, and I really love it. So I think that the schools are incredible. It's just, there's so much here, and I think you can build an awesome business in Atlanta.
Jasmine, same question to you. What is this Atlanta thing for the folks in other cities that are trying to figure this out?
Yeah, I mean, it's something about Atlanta that just speaks to family and Southern hospitality. I would say I have never lived anywhere, and I've lived in a lot of places. Again, I was a military kid, so I never even went to the same school for more than a year until I was in high school. So I was often going to schools every 6 months, so starting in January at a new school. And coming here, people really want to help you. Thinking back to my first, customer being the world's busiest airport in Atlanta, that is just phenomenal. That opportunity, I think one of my good friends and mentors, Jay Bailey, who I heard mentioned earlier, I can text Jay and just say, Jay, I got to talk to you about something. And he's like, let's get on the phone right now. Like that level of just having people, Jewel Burks, just so many people that I met here. As you know, I pitched Gooder right on this stage in January of 2017. It's just an idea. And in this room, people came up to me afterwards and said, let's meet for breakfast. I want to hear your ideas. And it would not, if not for Atlanta, I don't even know where Gooder would be. And similar to Kyle's story, when we were fundraising, people were like, oh, yeah, I don't know about Atlanta. I don't know that this last time when we were doing fundraising, we just had so much interest that it was really in our court, and we turned a lot of people down. We were really oversubscribed. We didn't need the funding, but the narrative had changed about Atlanta all within 2 years. This is in 2018 when I was fundraising. In 2020, people were like, oh, Atlanta's where it's at. And so I think I knew that long ago when I moved here, but now I think the world is about to see it on a greater scale, and the people that will help you and support you, it's amazing.
Same question here. I mean, talk to us about what's in the soil. What's happening here that's different?
Honestly, more of the same of their answers. It's all true, and it's worth repeating. But there's a pay it forward attitude here. There is a let me help you. I want to help you. I'm rooting for you. I've lived in Los Angeles. I've lived in New York City. I've been a career person in both of those places, and while they have different kinds of communities there isn't one that's like Atlanta, that from the very beginning you feel like you have a support system.
So no city is perfect, right? And you all are visionaries. So let's talk about Atlanta in 10 years. What do we need to do to make Atlanta even more excellent? If you think about how this ecosystem can mature. And Jasmine, maybe we'll start with you.
Obviously, I'm going to talk about the wealth gap and how do we close it. I think that's a very critical thing. I see it firsthand dealing with people that have no access to food. And, just yesterday, I actually tweeted this, Ryan. Someone was like, oh, well, nobody's hungry anymore because of the pandemic being over and stimulus checks. I was like, sir, people were hungry way before the pandemic. Let me talk to you about what this looks like. I really stand on the fact that Gooder is also a certified B Corp. We're one of few in Georgia, but we were paying our team members, even our drivers, $15 an hour years ago, before it became like a conversation, because I knew that I could never have one of my team members needing food. Like it just was a very clear thing to me. So I knew I had to have a livable minimum wage with people that worked with us on even if they came in at an entry point. I think that's something that we really got to get to. It's something that is a very sticky conversation right now. People want to mention it. We're talking about labor and jobs that can't be filled, but we do have to acknowledge that Atlanta is getting more expensive to live in. People have to earn more money to be able to afford it, and I think it will be a really great thing if we could do it. I think that's one of the challenges that I'm still seeing. A lot of people are still making $8 an hour here and cannot afford a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. And that's just something that as the business community, as we're creating jobs, we have to think about how will people be able to feed their families, and that always stays top of mind for me.
Sure. Mary Catherine, same question, and maybe even looking at the small business community, what do we need to do to make sure that we continue to have more backed by ATL companies that are growing and scaling?
I think through my lens, it's more about the empowering the women, empowering women founders, women leaders. There's some wonderful programs here in Atlanta that I've been fortunate to be a part of, and there is a real sense of camaraderie around supporting those women-led programs such as EY Winning Women, Launchpad 2X. But that's, that's just the beginning. And I think that there is more that we can do and more that we want to do.
You mentioned some amazing programs. For anybody that's not familiar, please look them up. Kyle, same question. What do we need to do going forward?
The memory this triggered was I was in one of the back staircases at the Atlanta Tech Village very early on in the journey, and a company had offered to acquire SalesLoft. And I remember thinking at one point in time, I thought, wow, we could just sell this company and then go do it again. And I'm really glad that nobody was there to encourage me to do that. And as I look at Atlanta entrepreneurs, and even myself, when people ask me oftentimes, they say, Kyle, you have an incredible board of directors. What's it like to work with them? Like, what's the biggest thing, your biggest takeaway from those relationships? And I'd say the biggest thing that I get, David's on our board, and some other incredible entrepreneurs and investors, the biggest takeaway is every time I walk out of that board meeting, I realize that SalesLoft can be a bigger and more impactful company. And and that's not Atlanta thing as much as it's our board member is representative of New York and Bay Area. And I don't think that we've always thought that way in Atlanta, especially in technology. And so I think having this attitude of we can create multi-billion-dollar businesses, and we shouldn't stop along the path of getting there. I think that's a mind shift that Bay Area has had for a longer period of time. And so that's one, kind of a mental perspective. And of course, the capital, right? When we started SalesLoft in 2011, there were some seed angel investors, but there weren't a lot of, kind of like Series A investors. And now it's so many more. But I think we can just keep on bringing more and more capital into the ecosystem. And I remember when I was at ATDC in 2010, and there was like this joke someone said that all the founders in Atlanta that had sold companies for a lot of money had retired and bought like boats. And now when founders sell their companies, they're investing into the ecosystem. And I think that's a really great thing to keep, really keep going and going.
We're almost out of time. This is my last question. And I want to address it to entrepreneurs that are just getting started. What advice do you have for them? These are the folks that are at step 0 to 1, trying to figure out how to be on this stage and to be a backed by ATL company one day. What do you say to that group of folks that's trying to get their ideas out into the world just like you have? Mary Catherine, I'll start with you.
I actually met with 2 young ladies today, this morning at my office. They reached out, they have an idea, and they're just in those initial building block stages. First of all, always ask for help, always ask, lean on people because they really do want to help. And I also would say, learn as much as you can before you take that leap. Like I said earlier, I think being an entrepreneur, you are wired to be it. So in another way of saying, I don't really ever think you have a choice but to take the leap if this is something that you really believe that you are. But it's not easy. It's just not. And it's, it's definitely a journey. Nothing happens overnight. And it's just a little bit about educating that reality that, there is such a glamorous side to be an entrepreneur, but there is really, really hard work that goes into it. The 2 girls said to me today, it just feels like it just happened right away for you. And I was like, oh dear, honey. If you only knew. And so it's not about popping balloons or being discouraging, but I think part of, the responsibility of being asked those early questions is, just, being transparent about what you're about to step into. And then, root for them and be there and, offer as many contacts, as many templates, as many learnings as you possibly can to make their journey a little smoother and easier and faster, hopefully.
You had to give them the old, it happened overnight, not at night difference. It's important. Jasmine, same question to you. What do you have for the next generation of entrepreneurs?
I just laugh because everyone always thinks it happens overnight, and it's so untrue. I would say to future entrepreneurs, people are probably going to think you're crazy before they think you'll be successful. And I think a lot of people thought this girl doesn't know what she's talking about. She's trying to be disruptive on hunger. She's trying to solve a problem that many people thought was already being solved. So I want to say to you, continue to go. Don't let other people's opinions of you diminish your belief in yourself. And I did that early on. I would have started Gooder in 2016 had I just believed in myself and not listened to so many other people who said, oh, I don't think that will scale. I don't think people will pay for that. It would have never got to being a multi-million-dollar business if people weren't going to pay for it. But I thought, these people know more than me. And so a lot of times when you're an entrepreneur, you are starting something and you're disrupting it, and people that you're talking to, they don't know what it is that you're building. And I think that you have to be okay with that. The other thing I would say is that, focus more on revenue than, how much you raise and, how big your team is. I just said that the other day. Like, I get more people, they'll say, like, well, how much money have you raised? How big is your team? And I always say, you know what? We've done a lot more in revenue than we've raised in capital. And I think that's something to celebrate. So I think a lot of times entrepreneurship, especially now with startups and funding and venture, it's all about like how much money companies raise, and that seems to be what we celebrate. But I want entrepreneurs to go after the capital that you're going to build in revenue and the jobs that you're going to create for your community. That's the stuff that should be celebrated, and too often it's not. So just don't get caught up in all the, this is a Series A and this is a that. Like, I want you to go after revenue projections and hit those targets and grow a great company, because if you can own a lot more equity in the end, that's when you could do things like start your own village.
Kyle, your advice to the next Kyle?
I think the big one for me would be that pick something, a problem that you could find yourself enjoying trying to solve for the next decade. That you wake up fulfilled, energized, excited. It's the thing that gets you through the hurdles and the challenges, being punched in the face. If you love the problem you're solving, then that's the most important thing, because you need that endurance to get through the journey. And the last thing I would say, there's this mantra that I've just kind of embedded into my head over the last 5 years, and it's to learn faster than the rate of my own experience. And what I mean by that is surrounding yourself by incredible people who you look up to, can learn from, and really empower you to do more. And it's not just people, it's books, it's blogs, it's videos, it's all that information that you can absorb right now today. This is the greatest time in the history of mankind to absorb and get knowledge to do what you need to do. And so I think those are the two big ones.
I want to thank you. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for the work that you do in the city and for representing Atlanta as well as you all do all the time. To the Metro Atlanta Chamber, thank you for letting us host. This is, again, an honor to be able to bring folks back into the gathering spot. And for us, we're backed by ATL company too. So it's a privilege to be a part of this group now, new companies and those in the past. So I'm turning it back to you, Alex. Thank you again for everybody.
Thank you
to our panelists.
And thank all of you for this. These 4 are just a tip of the iceberg of the 34 backed by ATL companies we now have in the program. And those 34 are really just a tip of the iceberg of this amazing entrepreneurial and founder ecosystem that we have in Metro Atlanta. So if one thing you heard, and I know Kyle said it there, talking about making their company Atlanta, that's the key. The blend of our founder community, our tech community, creative, our corporate ecosystem, our universities, our culture, all that makes us uniquely Atlanta. And this is our moment right now to really seize on that and grow our companies and grow this innovation community the way we want it to be here in Atlanta, and not copying anybody else. So thank all of you that are here. You're going to get a chance to continue to network. And for those of you out there, we do miss you, and I'm sure we will get a chance to network with you as well too. And stay tuned and be listening to a lot more stories of these 34 companies and many more around our amazing innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem. Thanks everybody, and have a good evening.